Hey all, Mike back here with another stock analysis, and today we're going to be looking at the airline industry overall. We're going to be seeing if it's a good investment and if you should expect it to recover past pre-pandemic levels. Just a quick reminder, this is not financial, legal, or tax advice. You should make sure to do your own homework and do your own research before any sort of investment. I'm not a financial advisor. Before we dive into the stocks, make sure you comment down below. What do you think of the airline industry and would you invest? Let me know down below and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And with that, let's dive right into the stocks and take a look. The four main stocks that make up the airline industry are Southwest, Delta, United Airlines, and American Airlines. And for a little bit more context in their numbers, Southwest Airlines, their market cap is 25 billion, Delta is about 21 billion, United Airlines is about 11 billion, and American Airlines is about 6 billion. And for an interesting comparison here, Lululemon, a clothing company, has about a $43 billion market cap. So I'll let you make that ultimate distinction, which one is worth more, but just a little bit of a comparison there. Before we dive into the recommendation, let's take a look at their revenue numbers first and see how the coronavirus pandemic affected their revenue numbers. So for Delta, their revenue is about 25% of what it used to be in 2019. Southwest is at 32% of what it used to be in 2019. United is at about 21%, so on the lower end, and then American Airlines is at about 26% of what it used to be in 2019. So hopefully those numbers should give you a sense of where all these airlines stand and how the coronavirus has impacted the airlines industry. It seems like travel is down by about 75-ish%, and Southwest is doing the best out of all of them with the least impact, and it seems like United Airlines is doing the worst out of all of them. So everyone knew that the coronavirus pandemic would hurt the airline industry. I think what we should really be looking at is, will these airlines recover to pre-pandemic levels? And the second part, when they do recover, are they a good investment at pre-pandemic levels? So let's first look at, will airlines recover to pre-pandemic levels? So first, let's look at how many travelers are traveling right now. According to the TSA, they have about 30 to 33% of the same amount of volume of passengers as they did in 2019. So this is pretty important to note because it gives us a good baseline, right? We know that we're going to grow only from this 33% baseline. The interesting thing to note here is I would break travelers into two groups. So you have leisure travelers, who are kind of people traveling for vacation, people traveling for personal enjoyment. And you also have the business travelers. So these are people going to visit clients, they're going to travel to other businesses and countries to make deals. I would say right now, it's mainly leisurely travels and personal travels. Most of the travels that we see going through TSA PreCheck are for vacations or to go visit family. I see this type of travel recovering the fastest. I can already see people starting to travel for their own personal enjoyment, especially during the Christmas time. So I expect this to recover in the next year or so. However, this second portion, business travel, is very important for the airline industry. According to McKinsey, they can drive 55 to 75% of profit for these airlines, but only really account for 10% of passengers. So you can see business travelers are so important for the business airline, both from a revenue perspective and from an income perspective. And right now with the pandemic, most of the travel that's going on right now is not business travel. Businesses do not want to take on that liability of having someone travel for their business and then them getting sick. So business travel is down very, very low right now. And I think we should really consider how the business landscape is going to change. If you see businesses and business travelers recover in the next 1 to 2 years, then I think these stocks could be really big. Again, because most of the revenue and income comes from these business travelers. A few other segments to look at that aren't necessarily traveling are cargo related. I see cargo holding steady. I don't see this fluctuating too much. And credit card loyalty rewards programs. So this one is actually pretty important to look at. This is actually the least impacted category when it comes to airline revenues. And this is because, again, it doesn't require that anyone actually travel. I expect once the pandemic ends, I expect a lot of airlines to actually give out high loyalty rewards points and give out credit cards with high sign-up bonuses. And I can see this actually generating a lot of money once the pandemic ends, and also to get customers back into seats and get customers flying again. I really see business travel as the biggest question mark for if airlines will recover to the pre-pandemic levels. So to recap a little bit, I think airline recovery will be really dependent on business travelers. I personally think business travel will recover in the next 1 to 2 years, but it will take some time. Right now, businesses are finding that they can just operate fine without business travel. They can do it over Zoom meetings, they can do it over email and through chat. So I think the landscape of business and business meetings as we know it is different in the short term. However, if 9/11 or the 2008 financial crisis has shown us anything, it's that business travel will eventually recover. So I personally am willing to bet that business travel will recover, and this will help the airline industry recover to pre-pandemic levels. So next, we should look at, are airlines a good investment at pre-pandemic levels? My initial take is that it's pretty iffy on if they're a good growth investment, but I think they're a solid financially stable investment, and I'll get into what that means. So the interesting thing is the overall airline industry is actually only growing by about 5% year over year, and this is at pre-pandemic levels. So pretty much the airline industry is only growing a little bit, and at 5%, there's very little growth for Delta, for Southwest, and for American Airlines to all take. So they're all taking a very small piece of a very small piece of a pie. And just looking at their margins, Delta and Southwest have some of the highest margins, but it's only at about 10%. So they're not making that much income off of every dollar. So my take here is airline stocks are a stable dividend set of stocks. They're not going to grow that much, but they're also not going to fluctuate too much, which is good if you're looking for a solid and stable investment. We know that the airline industry is pretty necessary. We need it for traveling, for leisure, and for business. And so my take is that the airline industry is very stable. Everyone needs it. It's almost a consumer necessity right now. And they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon, but they're not going to grow very fast. And to kind of wrap it up, I do recommend some airline stocks. I would specifically recommend Delta and Southwest. I think these two companies have the best balance sheets, and I could see them recovering to pre-pandemic levels in the next 1 to 2 years even. So just looking at Delta, if they were to recover at their pre-pandemic price in the next 2 years, that's a 70% growth in stock price in 2 years, which I think is pretty good. Looking at Southwest, if you were to hold them for 2 years, and they were to grow to pre-pandemic levels, that would be about a 35% growth from the current prices today, which is pretty good. And then looking at United, I don't know if I can recommend them, but they do have the highest reward, but they also have the highest risk. If you were to hold them for the next 2 years and they were to recover to pre-pandemic levels, you'd be up over 100%, which is where I see the reward, but also there's a decent amount of risk for United Airlines. So to kind of wrap it all up, I do think airline industries are worth a look. If they recover to pre-pandemic levels in the next 1 to 2 years, you could be making anywhere from 35 to 75% gains, which is pretty good. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Would you invest in airline stocks after hearing this information? Definitely let me know down below, and make sure you like and subscribe. And with that, we've wrapped up the airline industry. Again, make sure whenever you do your investment, make sure you know the product strategy and the stock strategy and understand financials before you do any investment. See you guys.